الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونتوب إليه ونعوذ به من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له قيوم السماوات والأراضين. بعث نبيه محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم رحمة للعالمين. وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله. إخواني في الله وأخواتي في الإسلام، أوصي نفسي وإياكم بتقوى الله عز وجل وبعدم عصيانه. فلقد قال لي ولكم: تلك الدار الآخرة نجعلها للذين لا يريدون علوا في الأرض ولا فسادا والعاقبة للمتقين. Brothers and sisters in Islam, we thank the Almighty Allah for giving us another opportunity to be here today. We thank Him for His mercies that He's bestowed upon us. We bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except the Almighty Allah. We also bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His servant and His messenger. Whosoever the Almighty Allah guides is really guided. And anybody who goes astray has nobody to blame but themselves. Today is a Friday, which corresponds to the 17th day of Rajab, 1443 years after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's also the 18th day of February 2022. It's been a while since personally I visited this masjid for a khutbah. I was out of the country for some time. Alhamdulillah, we're back. The Almighty Allah structuring the world, especially the human race, the Almighty Allah instituted a very, very important policy that will guide the human race. And that policy is marriage and family life. Family is a very, very important institute in the human race. And most of the ills and most of the problems that our communities face is because of the problems that families also face. Our communities are just families that have come together to form the community. And you can never get a better community when the family structure is in darkness. The situation of the community is a reflection of how our families are run. If the families are run on a good foundation, then definitely it's going to reflect in the communities that we are in. You can never have a better community than the families that form those communities. And no government policy can solve the problems that we face in society, the moral problems that we face, more than the family. No government policy or ideology can help stabilize our communities in terms of social vices, in terms of moral decadence, in terms of criminality, more than the family can do. But the problem is that how are we building those families and how are we running those families? We've got to a point whereby if a young man is getting married, he's only interested in having sex, that's all. But then, how to live with a woman and how to bring forth children and how to nurture their kids is not part of our agenda when we are getting married. We're only interested in, sexual gratification in our marriages. So when the kids come in and then the reality sets in, and then we realize that no, we've had it all wrong, instead of tracing our footsteps back and righting the wrongs, our ego sets in, and then we realize that we now have high rates of divorces in our communities. At a time whereby our communities are educated, the Muslim community in Ghana is not the same as it was 20, 30, 40, or 50 years ago. It's not the same in terms of secular education. Now we read more books on, relationships. We read more books on marriages. We listen to more lectures on marriages. But then the rate at which the divorce rate is going is scary. Our mothers and fathers wouldn't have the opportunity to read all these relationship books or meet these relationship experts. They had stable marriages for 40, 50, 60, 70 years. They might not even know how to read or even write their own names, but then they're able to hold down these marriages in all these years. And then, why is it that now that we are educated, we have read more, we have access to the internet, we have access to all these big chefs around the world who are teaching us what Islam says about marriages, and even just opposing it with our current situations, and even bringing all the social scientists into the fields for us to really understand what marriage and marriage life is. Our divorce rates are going high. Why? Our child delinquency rates are going high. Our drug abuse rates are going high. Our criminalities are going high. With all this education that we have, but yet still, the future to speak. It means there is something fundamentally wrong with the way we are doing things. It means there is something that we have neglected. That is why we are going through all these challenges. Even though we are struggling day in, day out to have knowledge, to really
find solutions, but we are not getting the solutions, and the problem keeps on compounding. The ideal family or the ideal home that Islam really teaches us, with all due respect, we are not doing it now. We have copied other ideologies and other policies. We feel that what other people are doing in their religions or in their cultures is very, very beautiful and accommodating. So we threw away our gold and our diamonds, and then we are running around cast iron and aluminum. We have now reached a point whereby the Muslim community is very, very interested in the education and the upbringing of the female. Yes, it's very important. And I believe that any community that must succeed must take care of girl, child, female education as a top priority. If you go to our schools, our high schools, our universities, especially our universities, you realize that the male-female proportion in terms of Muslims, the females are more than the males. It's a fact, it's a reality. If you go to our high schools, it's the same thing. If you come to our Makaranta Saturday and Sunday, you come to one class, you have 100 students, 90 of them are girls and 10 of them are boys. And anytime there's examination, the girls have the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then the boys, we are down there. It's a very positive thing, but it's a scary thing. The positive part of it is that we are nurturing the next generation of mothers. We are nurturing the next generation of wives. We are nurturing the next generation of womanhood, where it's education, in there. But at the same time, we are raising irresponsible young men. So it gets to a point whereby the young girls out there, she is educated both in Islam and at the secular level, but the young men are afraid to approach her because they don't match up to that standard. So what happens? If she doesn't have any iman and ikhlas in her, she goes up and then she dates a non-Muslim young man who is in that level of hers in terms of education. This is what is happening. You know it. It's not something that I'm making up or I'm creating. That is the reality of the Muslim community now. The young girls are highly educated, not only in secular, but in Islam now. And the young men are interested in sitting in the cafes, are interested in sitting in the roadside. The young men are interested in wielding machetes and then performing war films on the streets. That's what the young men are doing now. The Muslim young man now is only interested in quick, rich attitude. He's not interested in education in school. No. He thinks that is a waste of time. So at the end of the day, we have gangs in the community who just wake up in a broad daylight and act action movies. Serious Hollywood criminals on our streets. Serious Hollywood movies. That's what we act now on the streets. And what's the cause? The cause is that the family structure has disintegrated. The family structure is not standing on its feet. And with all due respect, it is the fault of you and males. It's your fault. Because the Almighty Allah says in the Quran, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nar. O you who have believed, protect yourselves and your families from entering hellfire. This verse is a direct message to the males. The reason why the Almighty Allah made you the father in the home or the man of the home is not because you wear trousers and shirts. When the Almighty Allah made you a father in the home, it's not because you are put sexually at night on the bed and then you can impregnate the woman. 15-year-old boys now impregnate women. The fact that you are a father in the home or the man in the house is not because you are put sexually. No, you are a father in the home because you produce the next generation of responsible men. It's a very, very important statement that I'm giving you today. If we, the men, become upright in the deen, the rest of the community will follow. But if we neglect our responsibilities as men in the house, and then it is the women who run affairs, because if you, the leader, neglect your duties, the woman will by default take over, whether you like it or not. Some time ago, I was in a drugstore and then a young man, not a young man, that was a man, just started a conversation with him. That he doesn't understand. He paid the school fees of his son, and the son has graduated from university. But then all the pictures of the graduation, the boy is saying, thank you, mommy, thank you, mommy. He doesn't understand why. My brothers, the ability for you to put money on the table daily is not the end of your responsibility as a father. That is not the end. Sometimes we men feel when I wake up 5 a.m. and then I put down money and then they go to school, they need school fees, I pay, they need clothes, I buy, they need this, I buy. That is it. I come home around 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. The kids have slept. I just sleep. I wake up 5 a.m. I leave. Some of us fathers are in the same home with our children, and for the past month we've not seen them in our eyes. I wake up 4 o'clock. I do my nafil, I do my adhkar, I bath, I go to the masjid, I pray. Right from the masjid, I've gone to my workplace because of traffic. I come up, I close at 5 p.m., but then I have some meeting with the boys. The boys. We need to go out and have some drinks, have some chats, Then I come home around 10 p.m., the kids are sleeping. So you don't have any emotional connection with the kids. You don't have it. You don't have any psychological connection with the kids. You don't have it. You don't know what your kids are about. And it is the woman who is going to raise them. And let me tell you something. Statistics have shown that families whereby fathers are absent, the kids in the home are 10 times prone to go to jail. The kids in the home are 10 times prone to use hard drugs. The kids in the home are 10 times to shoot someone or being shot at. And the absence of a father in the home is not about, single motherhood. No. Sometimes you have a family, a male and a female in there with kids, but the man has neglected major part of his duties. He thinks by giving money on the table, that is the end of the day. Let me balance it to say that some of the women are also wicked. Yes. Some of the women are also wicked. It's true. It's not only one side. But then if a calamity or a crisis sets in, it is the leader who is shot first. You as a father wakes up in the morning around 4 a.m. because you want to have a relationship with Almighty Allah. Perfect. But what about the family? You will wake up, you will pray your nafila, you will read your Quran, you prepare, you go to the masjid, your wife is on the bed. You don't know what's going on with the family in terms of their spirituality. You don't know. But you are an upright man. You worship Almighty Allah regularly. But then the relationship between your wife and Almighty Allah is not your concern. Know very well that you question about that on the day of Qiyamah. That is why Almighty Allah is telling you, who anfusakum wa ahlikum now. Protect yourselves and your families, your wives and your kids from entering hellfire. An honest question. How well are we doing that? As fathers in the home, how well are we doing that? Because the problem of the Muslim in Ghana today is the fact that the main part of the leadership structure of our communities is missing. It is the women, our sisters and our wives and our daughters who are running the show now. That's the reality. That's the truth. Because if you as a father know only how to impregnate a woman, but then the antenatal and the prenatal and the naming ceremony and then her clothes and everything, she has to bear it. Then what use do you have? Your whole body is useless. The only weapon you have is what is between your thighs that you are using to describe that woman. That's the only thing you have. As a father, you don't know the teachers of your students, of your kids. You don't know them. As a father, you don't know the makaranta that your son attends or your daughter attends. As a father, you don't know when my son goes to makaranta, which surah he is at or what book is he reading. You don't know that. It is this same woman who is a career woman, because now the young boys or young men, our expectations are high. I want a master's degree holder, a girl who is making about $10,000 or $15,000 a month. That's what I want. And then I want to have a facility whereby I can top class area. And then this woman that we brought in as a career woman, she will give birth. In the morning, she will take the kids to school before she goes to her office. When she closes her office, she goes and picks the kids from school, and then she comes home, and then you're expected to cook for you at the same time. You're expected to satisfy you at night at the same time, and then you don't play your role as a father, and then you don't come and say, the women are being disrespectful, the women are being strong. It's you creating the situation. Women, not laughing. I don't think today I'm on your side. The day I'll come on you will get yours. That's the reality. You are a father in the womb because you are the leader of the house. In Islam, leadership is the sole preserve of males. And then we are not apologizing to anybody for that. Islam is a patriarchal religion, yes. Imams are supposed to be males. Leaders are males. In the home, the male is the leader. That is what the Almighty Allah has structured. And it doesn't mean that the female is useless or she's a second-class citizen. No, it is about responsibility. So when the Almighty Allah says you are the head of the family, it is not a title, it's a responsibility. It's a responsibility. So the moment you throw that responsibility out of the window and then you expect the woman to bow down to you, shame on you. The moment you neglect your responsibility, your full responsibility as the man of the home, who is taking care of the financial needs of the home, the spiritual needs of the home, the physical needs of the home, the emotional needs of the home, the psychological needs of the home, if you fail to do these things, don't expect the woman to bow down to you. Women are naturally rebellious, whether you like it or not. If you treat her nice, she will treat you nice. Women are natural incubators. Whatever you give her, she will multiply and give it back to you. You give her grocery, she turns it into food for you. You give her sperm, she gives you a baby human being. You give her bullshit, she gives you chaos and confusion. Understand that as a male. And the Almighty Allah has taught us this as males. But the problem is that it's from the onset when we are getting married, with what intention are we getting married? That's what the problem is. The moment we have a wrong understanding of what we want in the marriage, we have failed even from the beginning. I know of a marriage that lasted only 2 weeks. Yes, 2 weeks. The other record I knew was 3 months. And later I got a new record, it's 2 weeks. The marriage is done in that state. Why? Because the expectations to go into marriage is not what the Almighty Allah wants. And the expectations are the ones that drive our desires. So long as those expectations are not being met, it becomes a problem. A
أقول ما تسمعون أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله أما بعد. We're speaking about the ideal family that the Almighty Allah has instituted on the surface of the earth. And the most important component of that is when the Almighty Allah tells us males, protect yourselves and then protect your families from getting into hellfire. And the role of the male in the home is the leader of the home. And as a leader, you are a servant in the home. And as a servant in the home, you're supposed to make sure everything runs the way it's supposed to. But then, things have changed now. 40, 50 years ago, it was easy. It was easy. Because we understood each other clearly. The man goes out, he goes and he works. He comes home in the evening. The woman is there, she's taking care of the kids. Whatever he brings home, she takes care of it, and that's it. But then the trend has changed now. Now that this idea of women empowerment, the women independence, the women strength is setting in, the family structure is being broken. That's the reality. You must have an independent woman, you must have a strong woman, you must have an empowered woman. Yes, it is true. But then, how do we do this independence? And how do we do this empowerment? And how do we do this strengthening? That's where the challenge sets in. I said this and I've said this before on this member, that yes, we need to educate our women. But the problem is that we are doing the education in the wrong way. Not only the women, we are educating the men in the wrong way because the education we are having now is all about material things. So if I'm entering marriage or I'm entering life, my expectation is all about material things. So if my husband cannot produce what my neighbor is giving to his wife, it becomes a problem in the house. Because the mindset is material. So at the end of the day, the woman feels that because the man is not providing well in the family, she must get a job to protect herself of eventualities. You get the problem now? The reason why most women are working, or some women, I'm not that statistics, some of the women that I'm listening to, she's like, my husband can bring in another wife. So if I'm not financially stable, I will suffer. My husband can die. The women always think about me dying. That's when they don't die. The women always think about when my husband dies. When my husband dies. Almost all the women are talking to about this issue. When my husband dies. And I said, so you won't die. When my husband dies, his family can take over the properties. When my husband dies. You see, the motivation for you to get into the workforce and get money is wrong. My sister that you're listening to us, the motivation of you getting into the workforce is wrong. The motivation of you getting money is wrong. That is why you are suffering. That is why, because you've bought into this idea of this supposed independence and empowerment and strength, you have now become women and men at the same time. That's what the system has produced. Because we want to have the same pay as male and females, the male will report at work at 6 a.m. and the woman will report at work at 6 a.m. But we forgot that the women have a role to play in society that is more important than them being in those offices. So at the end of the day, if she crosses from work, she's running to the market to get the groceries, to come home around 7 p.m., to cook the food that the family will eat around 9 p.m., and then the family becomes bloated, and the kids close from school around 3 p.m. They come home, there's no mother, there's no father in the house, they only have the nanny to take care of the kids. And then these kids' education is turned all upside down because the father has this ego and the woman also has the ego in the family. At the end of the day, let
kids suffer. I know of a family that in their home, the kids have grown up, and then they had a nanny for close to 30 years. And the kids listen to the nanny more than they listen to their mother and father. They listen to the nanny more than they listen to their mother and father. And the man himself told me, he said, "Chef, it is not their fault. It is my fault and my wife's fault." Because when these kids were growing up, when they were 3, 4, 5 years old, when they needed the psychological molding of their thinking and of their psyche, we were not there. We leave home around 5 a.m. and we come home around 9 p.m. And it is the nanny who is with the baby through creche, through primary school, through JSS, through SSS, and through university. She has been with the kids throughout. She was with them with their homeworks. She didn't study anything, but because she was helping the kids to do their homework, that is where the nanny got her education from. So now, we cannot drive the nanny out of the home, because if we do that, we are depriving our kids of their mother. So my brothers and sisters that are listening to me today, or while you go back home, sit down and have a think of how you are running your family. It's not about your sexual gratification or about your emotional satisfaction. It's about the next generation of the leaders that we are producing for Muslims in Islam in this country. That should be your aim. That should be your aim. So please, when you go back home, sit down with your wife, have this discussion. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Where can we improve? How well can we get things running? It takes two to tango. It is the role of both the male and the female. It is not the job of only the females. Sometimes you go to open day schools or PTA meetings, it's only mothers that are there. It's only mothers that are there. If you ask for character, whatever they can, you go to PTA character. If you see any male there, it is the mothers of the character. Every parent there is a female. It's very tough for the females. Why? It's very difficult for them. Because sometimes the family needs or the kids need the steel and then the strength of the father in discipline. All the mother can do is scream and shout and then she lose her voice. But you ask the father if you are in the home and then the kids are doing something and then you just do you understand the language. The mother needs that. And then you are upset. You don't know where you are. And then when the kids get up and then they are not well, they are not doing well, we blame them. It is your kids. Did the woman drink coconut water to get pregnant? So why are you now when the kids are not doing well? Are blaming the woman. It is your kids. It is your kids. It is your kids. Let's all come together onto the same table, as I said in the beginning of the khutbah, that you can never get a better community better than the family, because it's the families that come together to form the community. So in solving the problems of the community, you tackle the families first. If you go straight into the community, you won't get the solutions of your problems. You go to the family system. If you go into our communities now, drug abuse has become a norm. Our marriage ceremonies, people smoke weed publicly. It has now become a norm. Now they even cook the weed as tea to drink. So those of you who drink attire, be very careful. It's not every place that you go and then you go and drink attire. You go and drink something that for 4 days you won't sleep, and then you think it is jeans who are worrying you. It is not alternate. It is we. Wow, kasra. That is what is worrying you. That is one. The other thing is that the business of slave queen is also high in our Muslim communities. Slave queen, yes. Go to TikTok, go to Snapchat. This is where the girls do their business. And the painful part of it is that most of the patrons of these young girls are married men. You look at the man's wife, and then you look at the slave queen that he's dealing with outside. You would think that Al-Jannah have attacked him, because that slave queen is nowhere near his wife in terms of beauty, in terms of education, in terms of structure and stature. But then, wicked desire from men.
The Almighty Allah in Islam has given you the opportunity to marry another woman. Marry her. You, the woman, you don't want to hear about Kishia. You don't want to hear about rivals. That is what drives the men outside too. I'm not making an excuse for the men, but it's also a contributing factor that this man, he can't stay with one woman. Men cannot stay with one woman. Women understand that. That is how Allah created us. You won't understand it. And you men too, let's understand that the women, they don't want rivals. They don't want it. They can't phantom it. They can't discuss it. They can't grasp it. Understand it. So the moment you want to bring in another wife, don't expect that your wife will agree 100%. She won't agree 100%. Understand that. And you, the woman, to understand that the man, you can satisfy him in every aspect of life. If he's going to bring another woman, he's going to bring it. You, the woman, it is not because you have a defect or you're not doing something right. That is why men will bring in another wife. No, that's not it. And as zaman lafiya, kawai yaje aure. Let's understand some of these dynamics. This topic is just a wake-up call. I've not treated even 1% of the thing, you know it. So this is just a wake-up call to just initiate these discussions in our communities, in our homes, in our families, with our wives. Let's have this communication with our wives. It's very, very important. Marriage is about communication, it's about partnership, it's about compromise, it's about forgiveness. Let's understand that. If we say we are going to take our rights in marriage, it's 100%, it's no longer a marriage, it's a business venture. But marriage is a place of offense. Let's marry means come and let's fight. That's the meaning of marriage. Let's get married means come and let's fight. That's the reality of marriage. So the moment the fight comes in and then you say, no, you've misunderstood marriage. All you need to do is how to manage it and then mitigate it. And then finally, I believe our masjids, like this one, and especially our traditional chiefs, let's initiate something I call the guidance and counseling units in our communities, because we need it seriously. Get counseling before you get married, get counseling within marriage, and if anytime there are crises, you get counseling. It helps to mitigate things. But then the young man, he's got some $10,000 and then he feels, come on, this is enough for me to get married. He has his 2-bedroom apartment and then he already has a girlfriend that they've known each other through all kinds of things. Now that they are tired, they want to settle down. So they get married and then after 1 month, the commitment of marriage sets in and then he's like, this is not what I bargained for. And then he starts to find problem with the girl. There's no problem with her when they were dating for 10 years. But the moment she becomes a wife under his roof, he begins to see problem. If there's guidance and counseling, you'll be able to mitigate this and see how best he can help himself. So finally, we've taken much of your time. Sorry for that. I've missed this masjid and I've missed the community, and this topic is very, very passionate in my heart. That is why I've taken much of your time, because it's something that we need to look at. Because we don't want to see this shooting again on the streets of our communities. The frightening thing about it was that 2 days after the incident, I passed through Nima, and then 10-year-old boys, 11-year-old boys were like, Wallahi, 10-year-old boy. And the report I've received now is that the government schools in and around Nima, Kanda area, the teachers cannot discipline the boys. Because these boys, 10-year-old boys, primary school boys, and JHS school boys, they go to school with jackknife and screwdriver. So if he does something wrong and you, the teacher, you want to discipline him, wallahi, teacher, because the 10-year-old boy and 11-year-old boy, he's doing drugs already. Go to Nima, Bakungota, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 11 p.m. As a parent, you cry. 10-year-old boys. And the community is there. And it affects all of us. Just recently, I read a report, I don't know if it is true, that all the people who were arrested in the mayhem have all been granted bail. They are coming back into the community. To do what? To stop? So leadership is important. But before we say we are going to go into the community to solve the community problem, qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. Deal with your family. Your 7-year-old kid, your 10-year-old kid, your 5-year-old kid. Make sure that the relationship with Almighty Allah is very, very strong. When they wake up in the morning, wake them up to pray Fajr. Don't wake them up to go to school. Let me repeat this statement. When you wake your kids up, wake them up for them to pray Fajr and not to go to school. Because if you wake them up and say, get up, bath, and go to school, all he knows is school, school, school. But then wake up and pray Fajr, then you prepare for school. He is getting up in the morning with the notion that he has a connection with Almighty Allah. There, 50% of your job is done. The other part of it is that you see the Saturday and Sunday Makaranta. Wallahi, it is our last hope of nurturing the kids. Wallahi, no matter how tatters those schools are, no matter how bad they are, wallahi, it is our last hope. Let me tell you something. You see, schools in general, the secular schools, they give your kids information and not education. Let me repeat. Schools, secular schools, they give your kids information and not education. 1 + 1 = 2 is not education, it is information. H2O equals water. It's not education, it is information. Education deals with the spirit of your kid, with the mindset of the child. So if the government introduces comprehensive sexuality education and then you've not taught your kid in the home that lesbianism and gayism and homosexual is haram in Islam, the school has already destroyed your kid. So you give your kid education in the home so that when they go outside, nobody can confuse them or corrupt them. But then if you leave the education of your kids to schools, the teacher in the school is taking care of 50 or 70 kids within 8 hours. You are supposed to take care of one child within 8 hours. You are not able to do it. And then you expect someone to take care of 50 or 70 kids in 8 hours. So rethink the structure of your family. Rethink the structure of your family. Rethink the way things are being done in your family. The way things are going in the community. How safe is your kid? How safe is the child? Especially the girl child. How safe is she? Because when the women are upright, we the men will be forced to be upright. And the women can only be upright if we the men are upright. So it is an intertwined thing. It's not the responsibility of only one person. The men have a role to play, and the women have a role to play in the family. If we, the men, neglect our roles and everything is being dumped on the women, then we see the result that we are seeing now. And if the women also neglect their roles, and then we, the men, everything dumps upon us, we end up having all kinds of these male abusers in the community. But if we come together, and then the kids in the home realize that there is the softness and then the elegance and then the beauty of the mother coupled with the masculinity and then the steel and then the tenacity of the man, we end up producing the right children for the community. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا إنك جامع الناس ليوم لا ريب فيه إن الله لا يخلف الميعاد ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا ربنا فاكتبنا مع الشاهدين ربنا وآتنا ما وعدتنا على رسلك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. Ya Allah, we ask for you to forgive our brother Abu Zaid Brahima, a member of the Muslim community in the masjid, passed away. We ask the Almighty Allah to grant him Jannah, to forgive him, and then to protect his family that he has left behind. And not only him, but all the debt that we have. Each and every one of us may have a father and grandmother or someone that they've lost. May the Almighty Allah forgive them and grant them Jannah. And may the Almighty Allah grant us success in this dunya and the akhirah. And it is time for us to leave this dunya. May the Almighty Allah grant us the opportunity to leave dunya with La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah on our lips. Ya Allah, we ask you to bless us and protect our families. Ya Allah, this dunya is a transient place and it's very, very deceptive. Ya Allah, protect us and guide us. Ya Allah, protect us and guide us. Ya Allah, protect our women food. Ya Allah, protect our wives. Protect our daughters. Protect our mothers. Protect our sisters. Ya Allah, grant them peace in this dunya and the akhirah. Ya Allah, whatever that will come and confuse them and derail them, oh Allah, prevent it. Ya Allah, we the brothers too are always out there looking for risk. Ya Allah, bless our hustle. Ya Allah, bless our hustle. Ya Allah, whatever risk that you're going to give us, Ya Allah, put the barakah in it. Ya Allah, if the risk is up there in the sky, Ya Allah, bring it down. If it's in the earth, Ya Allah, bring it out. If it is far away, Ya Allah, bring it closer to us. And when it is closer, Ya Allah, put it in our pocket and put barakah in it. Ya Allah, halal, wherever it is, grant us. Ya Allah, haram, wherever it is, protect us from it. Ya Allah, haram, protect us from haram. Ya Allah, protect us from haram. Ya Allah, our eyes, our mouths, our hands, our legs, Ya Allah, protect us. Ya Allah, protect us. Wherever that we go, that will be a source of misery for us. Ya Allah, protect us from it. Wherever that we go, Ya Allah, that will be a source of sustenance and success in this dunya. Allah, give it to us. Allahumma anta amartana bi du'aik wa wa'atana bil ijaba. قد دعوناك كما أمرتنا فاستجب لنا كما أتانا يا رب العالمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. قوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله. Can someone switch it off? Just press the finish button. Just press the finish button. That's all.